Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and welcome to a special edition of Asian and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And I'm here today to talk to you about Power Rangers Jungle Fury, the blind leading the blind. So this is a Theo-centered episode where Theo gets his signature weapon. And Theo is very unique in this entire series. He's the Blue Ranger, his animal spirit is the Jaguar, and he's the only person of color on this show. I'm not even kidding, even though I'm laughing. I'm laughing because it's so ironic. I've talked about this season before. This is the only Power Rangers season to be predominantly white. Every character, whether they're main or recurring, is white except for the actor who plays Theo and this one other guy. I'm not sure what race he is, but he's from New Zealand. He might be Maori, might have some Samoan in him, but he ain't nothing else. He's not white, he's not black, he's nothing else. It's only two people of color on this show, but the other dude barely comes on the show because, he's like their dead mentor dude who's like a spirit. But then, of course, there's Theo, and Theo is Asian. And I'm just kind of like, how is it he's the only Asian person on the show, the only person of color? That's so weird being Power Rangers. But then I did some digging as, I was thinking about like more stuff to talk about for like other seasons, because when it comes to Asian and Pacific Islander heritage month, I was trying to think. I'm just like, wait a minute, there are other Power Rangers seasons that has no Asian people in it. Now in all the Fox Kids era, there are Asian people. In the Neo Saban, Nickelodeon, Hasbro, whatever you want to call it, era, there have always been Asian characters except for one season. Beast Morphers is the only one who doesn't have an Asian character in it. Then you get to the Disney era, and I realized something. There's 7 seasons in the Disney era, and only 3 of them don't have an Asian person in it, which is really weird and bizarre. Cause Power Rangers is known for having Asian people in it because it's based on Super Sentai, a Japanese series. And then, I'm starting to wonder about the casting in New Zealand during the Disney era. In the Disney era, that's when Power Rangers moved to New Zealand. And, when it comes to New Zealand, most people don't know nothing about it, but a lot of celebrities that are people of color are starting to now let you know what New Zealand is really about. And the people there, because over there's many races. There's white, there's black, there's Maori, there's Tonga, I believe it's called. There's Samoan. There's a couple, like a lot of different stuff. You know what I'm saying? And there's Asian people. Actual like Asian people over there, and I forget what actual country they originally came from when they went over there and migrated and stuff. um but like a lot of celebrities that are people of color that are from New Zealand are letting things slip that it's a little prejudice over there and stuff like that. Like there are these 3 Asian women that I will talk about later on this month. Because I talked about their other series like I think a year ago, but they had this one web series, and the reason why they said they created a web series and the reason why they did it together, 3 Asian women, is because there isn't much diversity on TV over there in New Zealand, and because it's predominantly white and everything. And they realize that they're gonna get ahead in like their version of Hollywood, the entertainment business. They're gonna have to do it on their own, and that's what they've been doing. They did a web series, and then they came out with an actual TV series, and their TV series Creamery you can actually watch on Hulu. And I believe Creamery got renewed for a second season. At least that's what I read. I haven't seen anything behind the scenes yet. And so I'm starting now to wonder, when it came to the Disney era, when they moved over to New Zealand and it came to casting production, is that why there's a lack of like Asian people in like, some of the Disney seasons. Like when you get to RPM, there's actually two Asian people. So I guess they had to make up somehow. And also another one that doesn't have it is Mystic Force. There's no Asian person whatsoever. Now there's a Pacific Islander person who's Samoan, but that's about it. And I'm still on the fence about Operation Overdrive. I know Dax is, but I'm not sure about Rose. She might be Hispanic and stuff. But I always thought that was kind of weird. Like the production, like the casting person, like the casting person. It's like why there's so like few Asian people and stuff. And then not only that, but when you get to the Disney in the Neo Saban era, there are no people of color in the background. They're always white. And New Zealand got a lot of different races and stuff. So it makes you wonder. But Theo, he is played by, and I'm not sure how to say this name, Algin Abella. And so I remember I saw pictures of him, I think in a Aladdin play, which was really cool. I had to like go back to his Instagram thing. But Theo is the Blue Ranger. And I'm not that familiar with Jungle Fury. Like I am. Like I've only watched it for like 1.5 times in its entirety and stuff. Like I watched a couple of episodes when it was in production. I don't know if I finished it all the way through or not. But then I remember I rewatched it on Netflix back when they had Power Rangers on Netflix. And so I'm not 100% sure on a lot of the characters except for RJ and Casey. I remember them fondly because, Casey was the one who was always last to get like a special power. And RJ is just a hippie dude who acts like Jack Sparrow. And he makes me so dizzy when he talks and everything. But yeah, the Theo, I always felt Theo should have been the Red Ranger. I mean, there aren't that many Asian Red Rangers, and when there is an Asian Red Ranger, they're always mixed. And not only that, but like I said before, this is a very, very heavily themed martial arts, Asian inspired season. And you'd think there would be more Asian people cast in this show, but they're not. And so having him be the Red Ranger would have been a whole lot better, because every time there's a very heavily themed Asian martial arts season, the Asian person is never the Red Ranger, and it's mostly white or some other race. And that never makes no sense to me. Never makes no sense. But anyways, in this episode, we see Theo is the type of person who likes to juggle more than one thing at a time. Mostly, he likes to juggle 3 things at a time. And in the beginning of the episode, he's feeling like, I guess the Parmesan, like, things, whatever they call it, you shake up the Parmesan and stuff. He's reading a book and he's also doing something else. Well, Lily informs him that he's not putting Parmesan in like, the shake holders or whatever. He's putting salt. And so when he goes to see what Casey and RJ are doing, they're meditating. They want him to join, but he tells them no, because he is extremely focused. He can multitask. He can even stand on like his hands. Theo's main thing is that he thinks he's perfect. And because he strives to be better than who he is, multitasking is what he loves to do. But as a result, he can't really juggle more than one thing at a time because he is not focused. And he's never learned how to focus on just one thing. He's always tried to multitask. But when he sees he messes up, he still thinks, oh, whatever, I'm perfect because I multitask. And that is his biggest flaw. And so when we see the bad guys Daiji, and who's Jared, but got possessed and everything. Once again, I thought that at least there'll be like an Asian person, like an Asian bad guy or an Asian hench girl, because back in the Fox Kids days, they used to be Asian hench girls, and And then, Kamel, she's dressed very Asian and she's very white, which is weird. Same thing happened in Operation Overdrive. It's just so weird. And so, anyways, he's practicing with like this ancient monster dude, and he tells him, until you can learn to like accept a lot of hate, and you can never defeat me, and blah blah. So this pisses him off. And so he conjures up two, like, monsters that are bird-like. And they're supposed to, I remember him saying they're supposed to create like a portal and they're supposed to suck up, like, or do something with fear and something else. But we never saw nothing about the whole fear, but we did see the portal. Anyway, the two bird-like monsters, they go to fight the Rangers. And of course, they get their butts kicked. And what makes no sense is that Lily literally has a new weapon, the Jungle Mace, and she never used it in this episode to defeat the monsters. And since they were so powerful, you'd think she would. So, of course, they're being spied on by somebody. A man dressed in a trench coat and sunglasses, very Matrix style. And so, like, when the Rangers go back to see RJ and talk about how they got the butts kicked, the Rangers are trying to figure out how they're going to defeat these two monsters. But of course, Theo's all like, y'all do that while I go back and multitask and everything. And then they see the intruder. His name is Master Swoop, and he's a Pai Swa master, and he's white, not Asian. This is like the most white season ever. It makes no sense because it's heavily influenced on Asian like martial arts culture. And so he tells RJ, because he's RJ's former master and everything. Theo is not a focused person, and he has to be. And until he is, he shouldn't be like a ranger helping the other one out. So he takes Theo to like this forest, and he starts to teach him. And the forest is very gorgeous. I like the new scenery they have, because that's one thing about the Disney era. New Zealand is very lush and with forests and foliage and stuff like that. So, anyways. The other two Rangers, they go to try to stop, like, the monsters. And of course, they're getting their butts kicked. And one thing I like about this episode is that we actually get to see Theo train in this new technique. Something we did not see Lily do, which was very odd and bizarre. When her master taught her, it was completely off screen and it happened within a few minutes. And so at least this time they took the time to do like a choreography training montage type thing. And, we see Master Swoop, who's actually blind and dressed very Matrix style. And he has the ability to levitate and fly like a bat. And it's very beautiful when you see him do the wire work. It's very Crouching Tiger. This is a very Crouching Tiger-esque type episode. And so as he hovers above like water, he tries to get Theo to try to do the same thing, but Theo cannot. Theo is messing up left and right. And then Theo finally confesses why he is the way he is. Everybody always expects more from him. His parents, his teachers. This is why he multitasks, because he wants to be great at like everything. But Master Swoop tells him you can't be great at everything if you can't even be great at one thing. This is why he needs to focus harder. So when he does, he's finally able to levitate. But then his cockiness comes back and he falls in the water. So after that, we see Master Swoop actually teaching him very graceful style of how to use a fan to fight. I don't know if people actually fight with a fan in real life. I don't see how they could, because it's fabric, unless it's made out of metal. You know what I'm saying? And so, but it's a great like training montage, and it's very fluid, and I really love the way it's choreographed. And so when the Rangers still getting their butts kicked, we see Theo all of a sudden morphed, and he has a fan, his jungle fan, and he's ready to throw down. And the action choreography is breathtaking. This is one thing I love about the Disney era, is that they do rely on Sentai. Sometimes you can't tell when it's the Sentai and when it's, is it still considered American footage if it's over in New Zealand? Well, it's an American show, so why not? Sometimes you can't tell the difference, and sometimes you can because of the grain on, like, the filter and stuff, and the coloration on, like, the camera. And they actually choreographed their own fight sequence with the fan when he's using one fan, and it is breathtaking. This is what is lacking in the Neo Saban Hasbro era. You don't get this no more because now they go for cheap, 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 fast, fast, fast stuff. And he beats up the monster, but then he calls on two fans, and this is when you get the Sentai footage. So the monsters realize, yo, man, we can't defeat this dude tiny, so we gotta get big with it. And so they call the Zords, and then Master Swoop gives them the Bat Spirit Zord thing. And of course, it's just a winged, like, attachment to their back that causes them to fly. And so they use this new Zord to defeat their enemy, but they only destroy one of them. The other one's pissed and seeks revenge on them. And so, like, this was a great episode, in my opinion. We got great choreography. We got a new fighting technique, and Theo learned a valuable lesson that trying to do too many things at one time will just end up blowing up in your face. And you gotta take time on one thing before you can multitask. Happy Asian and Pacific Islander month, everybody. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.